Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from PettyRevenge. Our first post is by Emryev. My mom kicked me out. Have fun throwing out your pillow. So my 18F mother, 50-something F, kicked me out today because I wouldn't let her financially take advantage of me. She told me to get out and take nothing with me. Then she left. I'm really fortunate that one of my friends lives in the same building as me, so we were able to take everything I owned in about 3 hours. I've been seeing this coming for a while, so most of my things were already packed away. Now, a little context for my friend. She, bless her heart, has the worst body odor I've ever smelled. It's bad, like never completely come out of fabric bad. And for the past 3 hours we have been running up and down 2 flights of stairs carrying heavy boxes. So, as we sit on the couch resting and taking the place in before we never return, I allow myself one petty thought. I grab my mother's pillow and I hand it to my friend. She understands the assignment. That pillow goes under her armpits, her back, her chest, anywhere it can soak up 3 hours worth of sweat. That pillow sees hell. We put the pillow back in its place and leave. Now I don't know if she actually meant for me to leave or not. But when she gets home and sees my room empty, I hope she regrets chasing away the last person who cared for her. And when she gets in bed and lays her head down on her pillow, I hope she cries. Edit. I'm not sure why it won't let me post the update separately, so I'll just put it here. Hi. So this was kind of my first time posting on Reddit, and I'm surprised at how much attention this got. Thank you so much for your kind words and advice. Reading the comments have kept my mind off of things, and a few gave me a good laugh, so thank you, really. I was really shaken when I made the first post and I left out a lot of details because I just wanted to share a funny moment. But I've been getting a lot of questions and I can't sleep, so I wanted to answer a few of them. The most asked one is, of course, what do you mean by taking advantage of you financially? First of all, no, she didn't ask me to pay rent. I would kill to just pay rent, and know my living situation will be secure. I'm not sure where to start that would give enough context, but I'll start by saying that my mother is a narcissist. She is a miserable woman that everyone who has ever known her has hated. She is a leech that has only ever known how to take from others. She's been addicted to gambling since before I was born, and she certainly hasn't stopped now. Anyways, I'll get into the main story. Please keep in mind that my knowledge is very limited. Most of it came from her, and she is the least honest person I know. I don't understand much of this to begin with. So, about a year or 2 ago, my great-grandmother passed away and left her house to my mother. The house is in a gated community and trailer park with a horrible board, HOA or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what it is. My mother explained it to me as a club, and to live there, you need to qualify to join it. To qualify, you need to own a trailer, a truck to pull it, and go on a few camping trips with them. My great-grandparents promised that we wouldn't have to do anything, but the club demands that we go through the process to qualify to live there. Our living situation isn't awful, but it's stressful to maintain. My mother found some guy to drain of his money, and they've been fighting over rent every month. I'm not told much, but I saw a paper that said we owe a lot. I truly don't know why we didn't move down to the house to live basically rent-free. She said it was so I could finish high school with my friends, but I don't believe her. I know my great-grandmother's death was hard on her, and her grief made her spend more nights at the casino. I would almost feel sorry for her if she didn't make her 16-year-old daughter comfort her at her grandmother's deathbed. So, once she burned any money she inherited, she pawned off the trailer, and I assume the truck too, but I never heard much of it. She pawned anything valuable she could find. She would often ask me for money to keep from losing them forever. She'd often just ask me for money for any reason. Once she realized that she couldn't just win back enough money to get the trailer back, she started begging me for the money. Not me, begging me to ask my dad for money. They've been separated since I was about 11, and haven't spoken a word to each other since. The night before my 18th birthday, she told me that I needed to get money from him or she would lose the trailer, and then we would lose the house. I already felt bad enough receiving any money from him, but asking him for thousands of dollars, for my mother, he would literally never give her anything. And apparently, it would just be all my fault that we lost the house. I barely made it 20 minutes before breaking down and leaving school early the next morning, walking 2 hours uphill home. That was about 8 months ago. It's just been a constant stress with her demanding things of me that I just can't do every month or so. Recently, she finally decided to sell the house because she couldn't qualify to live there. She found someone to sell it to, even if it's for a lot less than what it's worth. 5 days ago, I'm just sitting at my desk when she comes into my room, and just tells me that she gave my number to her agent and that he's going to call me. She doesn't elaborate until I ask why, and she just tells me that she's going to put the house in my name and that I'm going to sell it. I am 18, I barely understand half of the things she has told me about what's going on with the house. I really don't care whatever advantage I might get from it. It's too much stress, and I have no idea what I'd be doing. No one is going to tell me what the consequences of this could be. I wouldn't even understand half of what I'd find online if I tried to look it up. I don't even know what to ask. This is an absurd thing to ask of anyone so inexperienced. Why is she doing this, you ask? She said that because of the taxes she owes, if the money went into her account, it would be used to pay them all off, and she wouldn't get to keep most of the money. You see, I don't really understand it completely, but I've been told that this is tax evasion. My own mother wants to use me for tax evasion. Whatever her reasons and intentions, I don't trust her. I may be missing out on a lot of money, but my loss is none of her business. The consequences of her actions are finally catching up to her, and she's upset that I won't sacrifice myself for her. I've got my whole life ahead of me, and I don't want to start it off any worse than I already am. Anyways, I know that if I have that money, she will never stop asking for it. She'll just do what she already does, but on a larger scale. Ask to borrow money, never pay it back, or pay half it months later. Then she said she will then beg forgiveness while asking for more. She will do it for the rest of my life if she can. So I immediately called my dad and we made a plan to talk to the agent together once he gets back to my state from his vacation. Horrible timing, I know, but things happened way too fast. Today, I was still in bed when my mom comes into my room and again just tells me that she's going to put the house in my name and have me sell it. Then she tells me there's fees $1,200-ish for doing this stuff and she needs me to get the money from my dad. I haven't even put on my glasses yet, much less think about what I'm going to say. Our next post is by I Have to Poop. My brother ransacked my room. I cost him a job, prevented him from sleeping, and jacked up his phone bill. New account for anonymity's sake. Let's set the scene. It's 2010. I had just turned 18 and spent a long summer week away from home enjoying my new freedom to come and go from my parents' house as I pleased. During the week I crashed at friends' houses, went camping with other friends, video games, and all the cigarettes and tobacco products and snacks me and my friends could afford. My drug-addicted brother, 27, I'll be referring to him as Mac, who thought he was going to make it big in the music scene because of all the different drugs he was willing to do. He thought being on acid made him play as well as Jimi Hendrix because Hendrix did acid. This is relevant because in one of his many drug-induced rampages, Mac was convinced his USB microphone was in my room. So Mac knocks on the door while I'm away, convinces my dad that he was recording in my room, and left it in there. It was never in there. He was never there. My dad was so wrapped around Mac's manipulative finger that he never questioned anything he did. I kept careful inventory of my room because my parents and siblings would steal from me all the time and try to use my bedroom as a storage room for all sorts of things. Thinking back, his excuse was likely just to steal from me like the rest of my family did. Mac goes into my room, tosses the place like out of a movie scene during one of his notorious benders. He flips the mattress, empties out every dresser drawer onto the floor. Nothing was left the way I had left it. After all was said and done, I had to spend 3 days cleaning and reorganizing my room because of how badly this tweaker destroyed everything of mine. Things were broken, clothes everywhere, bins and boxes dumped on the floor. It was like a tornado had rampaged through a trailer park in Iowa. My dad had heard all of this going on and did nothing. I showed my dad the mess. Dad just shrugs at me and says, "He's in his 20s, what do you expect me to do? How about stop his strung-out ass from tossing the place? How about at least calling him to have him clean up his mess?" I replied. He practically ignored me and before walking off says he was looking for his microphone and you need to just deal with it. Going to my mom was no different. Mom was so terrorized by him that she wanted no part of anything involving him because she felt unsafe. I can't blame her. He became aggressive when challenged on anything he did wrong. Realizing nothing was going to be done by my parents and this was no matter to call the police over. Since Dad let him in the house, I did exactly what my dad said and dealt with it. I tried to be diplomatic at first and asked him to come clean up my room. He laughs, makes fun of me, then says, I needed my microphone. I asked if he found it. I know he didn't because I knew where it was. Over in my dad's garage, he never answered. Over in my dad's garage, he never answered. I scooped up the microphone to hide it even better. Stuffed into the rafters of an old shed on the outskirts of the property, inside of a large PVC pipe stacked up with other pipes. It's where he went to smoke his drugs sometimes, so I knew he wouldn't be looking for it there due to the paranoia of being caught by any of us. I gave Mac one final warning text to clean it up or else. He again made fun of me. Crybaby B, how difficult is it to clean your own room? You're just a lazy piece of crap. The last one really torqued me because he was a thief and did everything he could to get out of work. Later that night I decided to do my best Tom Petty impression. I leave my parents' house to sit around a campfire at a friend's house. I waited until I left because then Mac couldn't find me. Neither could my dad. I knew my dad was going to simp for him and defend him yet again. I waited until Mac would have been nice and comfortable at home. I lit my first cigarette of the night and promised myself that nothing would stop my ensuing plan until I smoked the whole pack. I had recently learned how to SMS bomb. At the time, you could add the same contact into your SMS app multiple times for a group chat. I believe it was up to 30 on the phone I had. For every one SMS I sent him, he received 30 in total. I spent hours sending messages to Mac. If I had a cigarette in my mouth, I was text bombing him. I spent from 9 p.m. until 4 a.m. sending Mac thousands upon thousands of text and picture messages. I have now dropped a Hiroshima-sized text bomb on the fancy BlackBerry he was so proud of buying a week or two before this. For anyone wondering, it was simply a copy and pasted text that said, "This stops when my room is clean," and a picture of the mess he had made. I alternated back and forth. This took very little effort and left him inundated with notifications every 1 to 3 seconds. This effectively DDoSed his phone into oblivion. It was locked up tighter than New York subway car. He could not call, text, or even open anything on his phone other than my text messages. Dad starts frantically calling me around 1 a.m. I ignored it. Then my mom calls me and leaves a voicemail for me to call him. Worried it's an emergency, I call Dad back. Dad picks up the phone, screaming at me. His phone is locked up and he can't use it. You need to stop this right now, I replied. He needs to go and clean up the mess he made of my room right now or just deal with it like I have to. The argument continues for a while longer. The entire time he's defending Mac tooth and nail. Eventually, I broke it to my dad that there was nothing I could do to stop the flow of messages and notifications. He hung up and never brought it up again. After the smoke had cleared, pun intended, I found out Mac had his BlackBerry locked up for 10 days. He wasn't able to respond to a job offer and wasn't smart enough to leave an alternate contact means. The job went to someone else by the time Mac was able to return their call. He was still going to be stuck at the job he loathed for a while longer. His phone plan had a monthly SMS and data limit that I absolutely destroyed. The month's bill was over $300. I want to say closer to $400. His live-in girlfriend was also pissed because they had to leave the phone on and plugged into a charger to let it process the messages from my mass messaging campaign the night before. The notifications made the phone unusable, and they were stuck listening to the notification sounds for those 10 days. They tried stuffing it inside of a blanket, but the phone would get too hot and they were worried it would start on fire. On the counter, plugged into an outlet it sat, keeping them awake and annoyed constantly. Another 2 months roll past. I finally decided he could have his microphone back, kind of. I took it out of hiding and stuffed it in his keyboard box that was also stored at my parents' house. He found it there not too long after and never even apologized for what he did. Not that I ever expected him to. He even bragged about finally finding it. He never went into my room again without my permission out of fear of his phone being locked up again. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.